The day I received the invitation to my best friend Emily's wedding, I had no idea it would lead to the most horrifying experience of my life. It arrived in an ornate black envelope with golden calligraphy, elegant yet strangely ominous. The paper was thick, almost too thick, and the scent of roses clung to it, but beneath the floral sweetness, there was something else. Something metallic like old blood. Emily and I had been inseparable since college. We shared secrets, heartbreaks, and dreams of the future. But for the past year, she had been distant, almost unreachable. When she finally called to tell me she was getting married, her voice sounded hollow, detached, like she was forcing herself to be happy. She wouldn't tell me much about her fiancé, only that his name was Victor, and that they were having a small, exclusive ceremony at an estate that had been in his family for generations. I should have sensed something was off when I looked up the location. The estate, Blackwood Manor, had no online presence, no history, as if it had been wiped from existence. The GPS coordinates on the invitation led to a remote forested area miles away from any known landmarks. Something inside me whispered that I shouldn't go, but Emily was my best friend, and I couldn't ignore her plea when she said, "I need you there, please." So I packed my bags and made the journey. The drive to Blackwood Manor was unsettling. The road twisted through dense woods, shrouded in an unnatural fog that seemed to move with intention. My car radio fizzled with static, and my phone lost signal miles before I even reached the estate. By the time the towering iron gates of Blackwood Manor loomed before me, my hands were clammy against the steering wheel. I hesitated before driving in, my instincts screaming at me to turn back. But it was too late. The gates closed behind me with a heavy, final clang. A man in a black suit, expressionless and rigid, opened the gates without a word. He had sharp, angular features and eyes that never seemed to blink. The mansion itself was a Gothic masterpiece. Dark stone walls, towering spires and windows that seemed to watch me as I stepped out of the car. A deep chill ran down my spine, though the air was thick and warm with the scent of decaying roses. Inside, the atmosphere was even stranger. The guests were beautiful but unnervingly quiet. Their eyes, too wide and too dark, followed me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. The decor was lavish, yet old, like something preserved from another century. Candle-lit chandeliers flickered above, casting elongated shadows across the marble floors. The paintings on the walls seemed to depict the same family, generation after generation, their faces eerily similar, as if they had never aged, but only changed attire over centuries. Then I saw her, Emily, but she wasn't the Emily I remembered. Her once vibrant eyes were dull, her skin too pale, her smile stretched in a way that didn't quite reach her eyes. When she hugged me, she felt too light, too frail, like a porcelain doll about to shatter. "I'm so glad you came," she whispered, but her voice carried a tremor, as if she was terrified of something unseen. I wanted to ask her what was wrong, why she had been distant, but before I could, a cold hand touched my shoulder. I turned and met the gaze of Victor, her fiancé. He was handsome, unnervingly so, with piercing grey eyes and a presence that seemed to sap the warmth from the air. When he smiled, I felt something inside me recoil. His grip on my hand was ice cold, his fingers lingering too long as he welcomed me to Blackwood Manor. "We are honored to have you here," he said, his voice smooth yet devoid of warmth. "Emily speaks so highly of you." There was something wrong with him, something deeply unnatural. I could feel it in my bones. But I forced a smile and nodded. The night went on, each moment thick with an unspoken dread. The guests moved too, fluidly, their laughter hollow and rehearsed. The food, though exquisite, left a strange aftertaste, something bitter, something that clung to my tongue like a memory I couldn't quite place. And the deeper I ventured into the manor, the more I felt like I was being watched, by something unseen. The shadows in the corners seemed to breathe, shifting when I wasn't looking directly at them. A grandfather clock chimed somewhere in the distance, though I never saw it, the sound ringing in my bones. The hallway leading to my guest room was lined with portraits. They depicted past weddings, all held in the same grand ballroom, with couples standing solemnly in their ceremonial attire. But as I passed them, I could have sworn their expressions changed. Subtle shifts, eyes following me, mouths curving into unreadable shapes. Inside my room, the discomfort grew. The antique furniture loomed in the candlelight, and the bed, though soft, felt too large, as if meant for more than one person. The air was thick with an old, musty perfume, and when I turned to close the door, I noticed deep scratches on the inside of the wooden frame, as if someone had clawed at it in desperation. The moment I lay down, I heard whispers. They were faint. At first, like distant murmurs carried by the wind. But then they grew closer. My heartbeat thundered as I strained to understand the words. Leave. Not safe. Emily. Wrong. I shot up, the room plunging into silence. I wasn't imagining it. Someone, or something, had spoken. Gathering my courage, I approached the door and pressed my ear against it. More whispers, rapid, desperate. Then a sudden, sharp knock sent me stumbling backward. I didn't answer. Seconds passed, then minutes. When I finally dared to open the door, the hallway was empty, except for a single note lying at my feet. A name was scrawled on it in red ink. Emily. The ink was still wet. My hands trembled as I picked it up, the paper cold as if it had been sitting outside in the frost. Then, as the clock struck midnight, a scream echoed through the halls. A scream that would haunt me forever. Emily was gone.